All right, this is the Rob Kendall Show. That's my name. Thank you for joining us tonight here on IndianaTalks.com. Very exciting show coming your way. The lovely April D. Gregory will be along with us shortly, but we begin the show a little bit different tonight. A different voice, just as charming, maybe not quite as good looking, but just as charismatic.
I don't even know if it's charming. I don't know if that's the word. Maybe my southern charm. I say my southern charm will help things.
The great Shane Ray of XRB Radio, friend of the show, former guest on the show. Hi, Shane.
Hello. I say hello there, Rob.
You know, it's great.
Nice to be here.
You are if you were a woman, you would be a Southern belle.
Yeah.
However, you are not a
the
woman.
Folks at home, Rob's a nice boy, but about as sharp as a bowling ball.
Shane from Kentucky, where they have things such as Taco John's and what was that other seedy bar we went into that one time where everyone loved?
Country Castle.
Country Castle, that's right.
Yeah.
Is that a chain down there, or is that just one place? That's a one-off?
No, that's a one deal. That's a one wonder of the world for Paducah.
Right. When we say Shane's from Kentucky, we say Kentucky like almost what's the state below Kentucky?
Tennessee.
Tennessee, and then one to the west is Missouri, right?
To the west, yes, that would work.
It's almost like you're from Tennessee. Anyway, Shane is filling in for the first 30 minutes of the program until April arrives in studio.
Now, you didn't tell me that. She's coming later?
Well, she's already... Look, don't ruin the surprise for everyone.
I'm
okay?
sorry.
Okay. April will be on the show in 30 minutes, okay? Thank you.
You call me, you say, Shane, the show's just not good without you.
I said it like this.
What do I say?
Shane!
I say two things. Rob, what time and what should I wear?
That's right. And you're sporting your lovely mustard yellow XRB radio shirt.
Yes, this isn't the one that got me in trouble at the rally, though.
No, Shane was once accosted by protesters at a We Are, what were they? No, I was
the
going to
99.
say, yeah, Occupy Brownsburg rally.
Yeah.
Because, the cause of all corporate greed is on the lawn at Brownsburg.
Because I had on some kind of suit jacket and a yellow turtleneck. Therefore, I was... Corporate America.
You were corporate America. When I see you, I think of corporate America.
I haven't shaved here at all. You're lucky I'm wearing pants right now.
Well, and you are wearing pants. I am not wearing pants. Well, I'm wearing shorts. I should point that out.
Well, it's a rule when you walk in the door.
Right, absolutely. See, Shane, for those of you who don't know, Shane is the proud owner of XRB Radio, 1610 AM in beautiful Brownsburg.
5 years this month.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
The first time I met Shane, he was handing out free popcorn on the lawn.
That's true.
It was quite amazing.
Yes, tackled me.
Yeah.
Said, hey, we got to work together.
Yeah. I showed up and said, hey, we can make some money together. I'm just curious how many people that day told you that, hey, we could make some money together.
There were a few that day, but how many there's been over the last 5 years, I can't count. I have to kick my shoes off because I run out of 10 fingers.
Well, we've often talked about the interesting characters you meet in radio.
Yes, it's quite the circus.
I would use much stronger words, but I'm on the radio right now, so therefore on a radio broadcasting network.
Yeah.
So it is on the web, xrbradio.com. You play what we call solid gold.
Solid gold is the word I was looking for, Rob. Yes.
Yeah, and
thank you for crystallizing my thoughts eloquently.
Well, and we were just having a nice conversation before we went on air about quote unquote solid gold, the group bread.
The bread, yes.
I think it's just bread. I don't think
like
it's
the Twitter.
Yeah, the bread. Bread's an interesting group.
They are an interesting group, is fact. Yes.
The older I get, the more interesting things my father will say to me, and we'll mention things, and he'll just keep repeating the same thing every time I mention a word.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if he remembers. He's actually told me that 10 times, but anytime I'll say, hey, I think that's bread, he'll go, oh, women loved them in the 70s.
Like that's the first time you've heard it.
Right. And then anytime I mention Dan Fogelberg, he'll mention some college professor he had that looked like Dan Fogelberg.
I see.
Does your father do that?
He's not too bad about it.
Right.
No. There have been other people that I have known who like to repeat their famous stories.
Well, it's interesting because probably 10, 20 years ago when I was a small child, as opposed to being the small adult that I am now, my father used to laugh at my grandfather for telling the same stories over and over again, and now that's becoming him.
Now, I'd get that from my grandfather. He's passed away now, but when I was coming of age, I would think I've heard this story 6 or 12 times.
Yeah. Well, it was interesting. My grandfather is 91 years old, and
God bless him.
Yes, and as is my grandmother. They're still both living. They've been married 71 years. That's a long time.
Yeah.
That's That's a long time.
How many presidents is that?
Well, let's see. If you figured they were married in 42, so you've got well, that was Roosevelt was still president,
42,
and then Truman,
yeah,
and then Eisenhower is 3, then Kennedy's 4, Johnson 5, Nixon 6, Carter or Ford 7, Carter 8, Reagan 9, Clinton 10, Bush.
No, you left out first Bush.
So that's 11.
Yes.
Then second Bush is 12, and Obama's 13. So that's
something like
13 presidents.
I think we missed one there, but
I don't think so.
Stuckey.
Let's do it again.
President Stuckey.
It wasn't Diamond Joe Quimby.
Yes.
There wasn't his brief administration in there.
Quimby.
That's 13 presidents. And the great thing is my grandpa, a lifelong Democrat, has finally become an anti-Democrat.
Really?
I still don't think he's a Republican, but I think he's an anti-Democrat.
Would he be considered middle of the road?
He just doesn't like Obama.
Okay. Really, that's what it all boils down to.
I still think he's voting straight Democrat on everything else, but he loved Ron Paul.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's that old guy thing.
Now, his son's in a big hoop-de-doo now.
My grandfather's son?
Yes, I know.
My father.
Your grandfather and the governor of New Jersey. Man, it was all over the news this morning. Hi, that whippersnapper. Bring home the bacon.
Wasn't it Frank Lautenberg, the senator who recently died, who was like 89, who had said that he was going to give Cory Booker, who was supposed to run against him, a spanking because he was saying mean things about him.
You know more than I do, I guess.
My man, Rand Paul.
Yes, from Kentucky, I might add.
Yes, he is. Your former home state.
Tennessee.
I love Rand Paul because he looks like he's from Kentucky.
My mom is a big Ron and Rand Paul.
Your mom loves Ron Paul.
You have conversed with her through emails.
I love your mom.
That. Yes.
Yeah, we're big Ron Paul fans, and now by defunct.
So you know the deal between him and Christie.
Yeah, and here was my comment on that.
Oh, okay.
Eventually, the Republican Party will quit angering the 20% of libertarians that really would like to vote for them.
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
Well,
why would you say that?
I don't know.
I don't know. Anyway, Rand Paul's going to be president.
Man, that's a bold statement.
I got it. I'm making it right now.
Now, see, here's the argument they made on the Today Show.
You're still watching the Today Show?
It was on because I believe my wife secretly has a crush on Matt Lauer.
What did we tell you about watching network television?
I'm just telling you now.
We warned you.
Unlike Jason, who every time you go to his house, Fox News is on.
We're talking about
Jason Gibson, CPA.
Free plug. Jason, many people will know that are friends with me. They see pictures of the sign.
The sign.
In Brownsburg.
The sign is spoken.
Yeah, the sign is spoken. You can find this is a sign that I have joked we should give landmark status to in the town of Brownsburg.
Yeah.
It is a sign on 267 that has a lot of political, humorous political banter on it. And Jason Gibson, the author of the sign. You can find the sign on Facebook at The Brownsburg Sign Has Spoken.
There you go.
Anyway, go ahead.
I forgot. Where were we?
You were talking about Jason Gibson, CPA.
Well, before that, we were talking about the Today Show.
Yeah, Matt Lauer. Your wife has a crush on Matt Lauer.
That's why the TV is on.
Yes. Oh, I see.
Oh, I know.
Well, he's very dreamy.
One of the commentators, I forget which one. I think he hosts one of the Sunday shows. I don't know, but he was saying that this is causing a little problem in the Republican Party, and he thinks, there's your two presidential candidates starting early.
Yes.
And
establishment guy against right guy.
There you go.
I love Rand Paul.
But now the big thing is they're saying, well, the whole reason this is starting up, you have this guy who has libertarian views.
Right. We love the libertarians.
They're saying, the whole reason that we couldn't win this most recent election, the reason Obama won is because we had
Romney.
Correct. He didn't have enough strong conservative.
We need a poor guy. We need a poor guy to run this time.
And then you have it's kind of split where the other guys are saying, no, he was too conservative. We need somebody who can think more along the lines of attracting the different nationalities, shall we say?
I understand. I like Rand Paul's strategy better. The truth.
Okay.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
Speaking of libertarians, we do want to thank our friend Chris Spangle and the We Are Libertarians radio network, which podcasts this show.
Really?
Thank you. I am not a libertarian, but I'm on the We Are Libertarians.
Well, you have some libertarian views.
I do. I have many libertarian views.
Yeah.
I'm like a small LR. Small libertarian Republican, somebody said the other day. I feel like if I just suck up to all the groups, that'll be good for me.
Yeah?
I was on a Democrats show on Monday.
Which one? Can you say?
Well, I plan on talking with April a little bit later in the show, but I'll go ahead and say it again. The Johnny Stir Show.
Oh, yes, I saw your post about that.
With our friend John Easter, and we'll be thanking him later on in the show. Don't ask me how I know that. But we'll be thanking John a little bit later on in the program. Anyway, this is the Rob Kendall Show. The other voice you're hearing, not April D. Gregory. She'll be joining us shortly, so please.
But an exact simulation.
Yes, all single men that are listening, do not turn your radios off. April will be along shortly. That is Shane Ray, the owner of XRB Radio, 1610 a.m. We were supposed to have our good friend Adam Ritz on the show today, but he has children. He had a scheduling conflict, I believe, with his children.
See, we have Jack the Radio Dog.
Yeah, you do. You could have a scheduling conflict with Jack the Radio Dog.
Yeah.
So Adam's pledged to be with us next week. So we're be very excited about that.
Well, let's hope for the best.
You know, a lot of people ask this, and I brush it off because it's just not something I talk about a whole lot, but I figured you could talk about it.
Uh-oh.
Things I don't want to talk about, you do. What's it like to own a radio station?
You can't talk about that?
I choose not to.
Well, what makes you think I want to?
Well, because you've actually really embraced your time in the ownership seat.
I see. I'm an owner as well as a participant.
You're active.
I am active.
You're actively involved, and that's unusual.
I'll tell you what, Rob. You and I both share this. I've read your book 6 or 7 times. Your first one.
Oh, not my current one.
No, I'm halfway through it.
Page 3.
Yes. I got the copyright down, and now I'm ready to move on.
Well, most people stop after Jay's forward.
I can understand that.
They figured that's enough for me. Thank you.
But in your book, you talk about how radio was just like it was a whole different world when you were coming of age, teenager, early 20s. It was just like, man, that like the song WOLD. That's where I want to be.
We love Harry Chapin.
So I have always liked it from the time I was 5. I got to go in to, I'll go ahead and say the station, WCBL in Benton, Kentucky.
Is that, what do we call it? Tenassery? Is that like down around Tenassery?
It's outside Paducah, yes, exactly. And so I got to go in there and watch a friend, Bill Burns, play records.
Is he related to Montgomery Burns?
I'm afraid not. About the same age, but anyway, I said, man, that is cool. He would sit there and play records, and he was getting paid for it. And I'm talking like I was 5, 6.
Young.
Very young.
Very youthful.
Yes, beyond youthful. So,
right.
As I got into it, got out of high school, got into radio, I saw what went into another station, and I loved what it did for the community.
Yeah.
And getting that message out, getting all points of view out, and I know you've talked about the songs that.
Oh, I thought you were going to say crushing all points of view, but thank you.
The songs that endured you, the messages, the entertainment from. The announcers, the DJs, all that stuff.
Well, I always thought it was fascinating. You know how the mind works as a youth. I always thought it was fascinating. Not that I would ever call someone at midnight, but the premise that you could pick up the phone at midnight and someone would answer the phone.
Right.
Because my parents went to bed at 10, so I assumed everyone went to bed at 10.
Yeah.
And the idea that someone was not in bed at 10 was very compelling for me.
Yeah.
I'm sure the man on the other end of the phone was not compelling, but it seemed like it. And I love that you mentioned Harry Chapin because, you know, I'm a Chapin guy.
Yeah.
I love
you do.
I love Harry Chapin.
You do.
And Dan Fogelberg and Jackson Brown.
Many a time I've gotten that call at 11 o'clock at night when you think I'm up, still thinking you're 14. Hey, can you play the sequel to?
Hey, man. Well, you think about, and I wrote in the book, those guys did it different than everybody else. It was almost like the words were all that mattered.
Right,
and
the story.
music, the music was just filler.
Right.
As opposed to, say, a Led Zeppelin or a lot of your other groups.
Where the musicianship was what counted.
Right.
Say Eric Clapton.
It was a package. And that's why a lot of those guys have continued to endear themselves as time has gone on and memories have faded.
Yeah.
Plus, Harry Chapin, man. I mean, he was sympathetic about everything.
Yes, he was. It seemed like it.
I guarantee
Especially taxi drivers.
He guaranteed that man cried once a day. Oftentimes over nothing. So Shane and I were talking before the program. We were talking about bread, and
boy, we came full circle didn't we?
Well, we did. Now, like I said, you never know whether the memories of your parents are accurate, because I know my memories. I'm sure of my book's nothing but a bunch of romanticizing about things that may have not actually been as romantic as I remember them. And I think that's
Right.
part of what you do. So you often wonder, and neither one of us are quite old enough to remember that sort of musical era, but you just wonder how accurate the memories of your parents are.
Right. Here's something interesting for the folks at home, and I believe we've talked about it before once. Excuse me.
I don't have a cough button, so everyone heard
Sorry.
that.
You are a little bit younger than me, 1 or 2 years.
Times 5.
So I remember
Plus
growing
1.
up being a big Elvis fan. And still am.
We love the King.
We love the King because he's the hero of your hero.
Your hero is my hero's hero. So it's like you're my grandfather.
Something like that. But him growing up, my dad growing up in the 50s and early 60s, I remember asking him when I was like young,
Right.
do you remember when this song came out? Or maybe he would even tell me little stories about, well, I remember when this happened, or I heard this on the radio, or boy, there was a story going around at the time when Elvis was in the army or something. And then years later, I mean, we're talking like a couple of years ago, you and I were talking, and I shared unknowingly, remember hearing Hungry Heart on the radio
Right.
when it was new. And I didn't think anything about it. Or when Tunnel of Love came out. And
Right.
I remember my thoughts at the time. So you, like I was doing with my dad, are now using me to get a feel
Right.
for the era.
Right. And a part of it, and I've often struggled with this, and by the way, isn't it great that my life is so open that I can struggle on issues about the relevance of Bruce Springsteen music in the American lexicon?
Yeah.
But I've often struggled with when I became a Bruce Springsteen fan, he had written all this music.
Right.
So I could literally experience it weeks at a time. One week was, Darkness on the Edge of Town. The next was The River, then Nebraska. So you could literally just rotate, and I still do to this day.
Mm-hmm.
Would I have been as big a fan in hindsight when that music was written?
When it was new.
Right. I often struggle with that.
I wonder that too, because once again, a story my father, he didn't tell me. It was actually one of his friends who says in high school, he said, yeah, I was talking to your dad. He's talking to me. This is Gary Cox, by the way. A little name dropping there. He says, yeah, I remember growing up with your dad. I came over one day, and I said, so, Dave, you still listening to Elvis and all this stuff? This would have been early to mid-'60s. And he said, I'm really getting into Johnny Rivers now. I like Johnny Rivers music. And so...
Secret Agent Man.
Secret Agent Man, exactly.
I'm sure that really makes you angry that that's the first Johnny Rivers song that I thought
it
of.
It actually doesn't.
It'd be like...
Because I have to admit, as a guitar player, that's a cool lick.
Yeah, but it's like when everyone says Springsteen, the first thing, hey, Dancing in the Dark.
Exactly.
Yep, that's it.
So I've actually forgotten what my point was, but
that's what I do. Have you ever noticed that?
Oh yeah, I've noticed.
I once had a guy in politics go, I can't have a debate with you because you always talk me in circles and I forget what I was trying to say. That's how I do. That's how I roll it.
And ironically, you mentioned that we were talking about Dancing in the Dark.
Yeah.
And when the first time I saw a Bruce Springsteen video was on a show called Friday Night Videos, which was, us poor people didn't have cable way back in the sticks.
But you had Rock and Rye Cola.
We did have Rock and Rye Cola. And we had NBC Friday nights after Johnny Carson was Friday Night Videos. And that's when you saw the latest videos.
Right. It's not like now where there was YouTube.
It was exactly.
There was not YouTube.
No interweb.
Do they have internet in Tennessee down there?
They do now, yes.
I actually use the internet in Tennessee.
Yeah.
They even have wireless.
Trust me, it's only really recently I haven't went over there to their house and heard... it's all dial up.
Again, This is the Rob Kendall Show. That's my name. Joined by radio mogul Shane Ray. For those of you tuning in, do not panic. April will be around shortly.
Yes.
And we'll look forward to that. She's really the ratings driver on this show.
Duh. Look at you and me, and I look at her. Yeah, she's the one who's bringing
I struggle with that because I feel like I put a lot of time into my radio career.
Put a lot of time into making her famous.
Yeah, that's what I do. I help other people.
Yes.
Buy my book.
Vote Quimby.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and like I said, you and I have just spent 10 minutes reminiscing about the pains of our youth.
Yeah.
And which I think that's pretty compelling. I always thought the story behind the story of whoever you're listening to or wanting to to know about was great. But getting back to that whole Springsteen thing, I'm sure you with Elvis, you have all these interviews that the guy did afterwards where he talks about in hindsight
That's where I was going.
how much did
When it was new.
right? And when Born to Run came out, they did a 30th anniversary or a 25th 30th anniversary documentary, a big box set, and he went back to the old house where he wrote it, and he talked about all these stories, and he showed the binder, and just line after line crossed out, and it took all these months to write it, and the production was so far over budget that he was worried he was going to get fired if they ever found out. So he was just taking receipts and throwing them in the trash, not presenting them to the record company. And all that stuff in hindsight. And you go, wow, this guy is one of my heroes because he did all this. But you don't know that when the album comes out. You just know there's this 20, whatever he was, 26, 27-year-old guy that's got this great album out. So you just wonder in hindsight.
Right. And my point of that Johnny Rivers / Elvis story was, I look back now and think, man, Johnny Rivers is pretty cool, but how could he stop liking Elvis?
Right.
But at the time, you have to consider Elvis was coming out with movies.
And you hate the movies.
I don't hate the movies. They're just not all very good.
You don't like all the songs that I like from the movies.
That's true. That is absolutely true.
Shane and I regularly
Truer words were never spoken through falser teeth.
Thank you, Shane. I appreciate that. Yeah, because my favorite Elvis songs are Viva Las Vegas, which Shane hates.
Yeah, it's no good.
Burning Love. I do love Burning Love.
That's all right.
But that was not a movie song, was it?
No.
That was Jumpsuit Elvis.
That was Jumpsuit Elvis, one of the last top 10 songs of his career.
I like that song.
Yeah.
And then
Follow That Dream. You love that one.
My favorite Elvis song is a song called Follow That Dream because Bruce Springsteen remade it in the 80s.
Yeah. Whereas the only thing he reused was a title, I believe.
Yeah, and I think at the beginning, if your heart is restless and you've been waiting so long or whatever. Yeah. Bruce Springsteen will do that sometimes. He will steal other people's songs, go, this is a remake of so and so's. No, it's not. Not even close.
Whatever. That's to keep him out of court.
Yeah. It's like, what?
But the movie Follow That Dream was actually very funny. I have to admit,
it's kind of a cool scene when he's singing the song when they're laying on the beach. And,
but
Well, I mean, and like I said, I'm sure for you, it's like when I kid you about the Follow That Dream and Viva Las Vegas. It's like somebody mentioning Dancing in the Dark. It's like, really? That's all.
Chill goes up your spine.
That's all you've got. That's the best that you can do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so by the way, we do want to remind everybody this is my last really chance to push for this. You can vote for me in the Best of Hendricks County Best of Hendricks County survey. I'm going to mention this later in the show too. Don't ask how I know that. But,
okay.
Flyergroup.com. I'm nominated for Best Politician in Hendricks County.
Yes, I voted early and often.
Thank you. I appreciate that. If you've got a mobile device and a CPU, vote from them both, people.
There you go.
They can't block you out. No names.
They don't have a radio station category there.
Yeah, I was shocked.
It's always been like that, I guess.
I was shocked. Because you would win.
I hope so.
By default.
Yeah.
I
tried writing it in. It doesn't get me anywhere.
But I did love, by the way, flyergroup.com is where you can go vote on this thing. And the survey's right there on the right when you go to the homepage. Scroll down to politician. And we got to beat Sawyer. No matter what happens.
Okay.
Anyway.
Is he in the lineup?
He's in the lineup, yes.
He doesn't listen to this show, does he?
No, but I'm going to be sure to mock him and let him know. Anyway, so flyergroup.com. But by the way, I loved in the Flyer Group survey, you can vote for best newspaper and they nominate themselves.
I noticed that.
But like if you don't vote for them, your survey is disqualified. 100% of the people voted for us.
Oops, something happened to these answers, as you hear crumpled up in the background.
Darn it, you could be a Democrat precinct committeeman.
Yeah, give that man a job.
So we do encourage everybody to head to flyergroup.com and vote for me in the Best of Hendricks County survey. Want to give you a chance to plug some of the stuff you have coming up on xrbradio.com, and that being your high school sports season.
Right.
For those of you who live in central Indiana listening to our program, you do tons of high school sports.
We do, and this year we're doing Brownsburg. That will be over the mainstream as well as our 1610 AM signal. Friday nights, just conferred with our good friend Brian Scott.
We love Brian.
Who's
on Indiana Talks on Wednesday nights at 8.
Is that right?
He has his own show.
Okay.
Scott Spout Sports.
Man, say that 5 times.
He talks sports.
Anyway, the Coaches Show. He'll be doing the Coaches Show And it will be broadcast on XRB on Friday nights at 5:30 before the games.
And they will also be video cast
yes,
in advance.
In
So if you
advance.
don't want to wait till Friday night at 5:30, you can go to the link. It'll be up on your webpage, xrbradio.com.
Yeah.
What we're doing, this is kind of cool. We love our friends at McDonald's. We have
Yeah.
a great locally owned set of McDonald's in Brownsburg and Avon, and we actually head out during the week. Brian will, and we'll be I should say Brian will be heading out during the week and recording interviews with the football coaches and other coaches, athletic directors to promote kids,
maybe even
student
some
athletes.
Of the players.
Yep, absolutely. So that's going to be very exciting.
Also, we'll be doing Avon games on through our website as well as audiosportsonline.com.
And Plainfield.
And Plainfield.
Yeah.
And sponsorship is still available if you would like your commercial.
Do the right thing.
Yeah.
Sponsor these broadcasts.
Exactly.
But no, you have a tremendously run website.
Well, thank you, sir.
And you actually do the town council show.
We do the town council show,
which I participate in.
You do quite often.
I do a great job.
Yes, you do.
I'm very entertaining.
Yeah, I bet now.
Go for it.
No, I'm not going to.
It's the internet. You can say whatever you want.
I don't know how. Nah, that's all right. Let's just say I think it's some people don't see it this way. I think it's very positive for your local elected official to be on radio as often as possible to tell you, here's what's going on in your government. Think about the ones, if I mentioned an elected official right off the top of my head, there's a really good chance you would have no clue what they stand for, what they're doing. But you and Dwayne and Grant.
Talking about Grant Kleinhens, our town manager.
Town manager in Brownsburg.
So it's Saturday mornings, 10 a.m., and then we also podcast on the station as well.
You guys are out there taking questions from the public and saying, here's what's going on in the town.
And I tell a lot of jokes. I don't think a lot of people appreciate that sometimes.
I don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I get a little fun on my Facebook page a lot of times, and I put a quote up there yesterday that was just ridiculously over the top, and it's a quote from a song, and somebody finally responded, "How in the world are you an elected official?" And I simply responded to them, "I love people, and I love life." And it goes back to the bottom thing of, I'm not like any other elected official because I vowed when I won I wasn't going to stop being myself.
Yeah.
You've got to be who you are, and I'm still a guy that has a lot of fun. I don't knit socks and go to bed at 9.
Are you cutting me down?
No, in fact, I usually just wake up at 9.
Yes, it's true.
So
sometimes that's the middle of the council meeting. Just kidding.
Well, but there's a time where you got.
There was a comment last council meeting of someone needs to wake up or go to sleep. That's what it was. Go back to sleep.
It's the thing of a lot of these guys, and you hit on it one time. You said most people you would know absolutely nothing about. But my goal is, hey, here's the good, the bad, and the indifferent. You make your decision. This is me. If you like it, vote for it. If you don't, well, I already ran and won, so I don't know how you would not vote for it.
Here's what I find amusing about you in particular is...
This face?
Yes. Well, the time to end the show. You've said all of my ideas with that. Now, the Bullwinkle face. Hey! Hey, Robbie, watch me pull a rabbit out of my hat. So... No, what was... I don't even know what I was going to say.
What do you find amusing about me?
Oh, yeah. Well, it was that face. I don't know. I forgot what I was going to say now.
That's how I do it. That's how I win every debate. Although I should have let you go because it sounded like you were going to say something good.
That's all right.
Anyway, Shane, thank you very much for doing the first half hour of this program today.
Man, it's the fastest half hour on radio.
If only it were on the radio. But if you're on the radio listening to this and you would like to run this show, do it. Shane, one final time, if you want to give the plug the website, the XRB radio website.
You can listen to us live 24/7, and it's www.xrbradio.com. Click the listen button, or if you have an iPhone, you can go to your store, just type in XRB, and get our app for free. And if you just have one of these droids like I got, you can listen to us through the TuneIn app. And simple as that, or Shoutcast.
All right, this is the Rob Kendall Show. Thank you very much for joining us tonight here on IndianaTalks.com. We also welcome those of you that are tuned in via podcast, either on Indiana Talks or on the We Are Libertarians radio network. Special thanks to Shane Ray of XRB Radio for helping me with the first half hour of the program, and it is now time to welcome in everyone's favorite, the lovely April D. Gregory. April,
Hi, Rob.
how are you?
I'm good.
Well, we are about halfway through the program. Again, we certainly are thankful that Shane was able to spend some time with us tonight on the Rob Kendall Show. But just about 30 minutes to go, and can't think of a better way to spend the next 30 minutes than with us.
I can't think of a better way.
I can't think of anyone else I'd rather spend a half hour with than you. So anyway, this was an interesting morning between you and I. I always love getting text messages from you. Never know exactly what they're going to entail, but got a text from you this morning that you wanted me to head downtown with you because there was someone who you consider a celebrity downtown, Cake Boss. Is that his name?
His name is Buddy,
His name's Buddy.
but he's the cake boss.
So he has like a TV show
Yeah,
on like one of these like Bravo networks or something
like
like that.
Food Network or TLC, one of the two.
Okay, so the guy just says, I'm going downtown to give out cakes?
Well, he mass produces cakes now because it's just his company has grown so much
So he's
from
like
the
Walmart.
show.
He's like the Walmart of cakes.
Well, he's now having his cakes available at like Kroger or something.
We love Kroger.
So since Indy is one of the larger markets,
Okay.
it was one of 3 cities I think he chose to give away cakes at.
Now, are you a fan of this show?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm a
so you
huge
just-
cake fan.
Okay. Well, I know you love cake.
No, I like all the cake shows.
Every one of them?
I like watching them make cakes.
There's more than one?
Well, there's Ace of Cakes too.
That's the name of the show?
Yeah.
So what, they just show you they're like the emerald of cake making? It's like, if you want to make this cake, here's how you would do it?
No, they don't show you how to make it. You just watch the day in the life of their bakery, and you just follow them make. I mean, the cakes are extravagant. It's not like just some piece of cake, right?
Right.
That you just made at home and slap some store-bought icing on. These are very nice cakes.
And this passes for good television now. We've gone from Seinfeld to Cake Boss.
I mean, there's the big cupcake craze going on right now.
Well, I know
so
you love cupcakes, but in like society, there's a cupcake craze. Did I miss that?
well, hello, there's a cupcake shop on every corner. How did you miss that?
Well, I think those are called bakeries. I think they do more than cupcakes.
No, there are specific cupcake places everywhere.
How did I miss this?
Well, I think we were talking about this earlier today. You don't pay attention very well.
No, I pay attention to important things.
Important things like society has a cupcake craze.
So here's what I want you to do. I want you to make a list of the 10 most important things to you. I'm just going to keep an eye on those for the next week. How about that?
No, the point is just to know what's going on in the world. It doesn't
But
have to
I
be
don't-
about me.
but I-
Cupcakes are the thing.
I really feel like you're overstating the value of the cupcake.
No, I'm trying to explain to you the value of knowing. Like everybody today was talking about on Twitter and Facebook about 10,000 people waiting in line to get a free cake.
10,000 people.
10,000.
Okay, so here's my thought process.
So my thought process is, how could you not have noticed this? Were you really not paying that much attention today?
Well, I was busy working on town business.
Do you not
today.
follow like the Star or any of the local
I don't
news
read the Star
outlets?
anymore 'cause they're
I don't
liberal.
read the Star either, but you can see their tweets and you can see their little blurbs on Facebook. That's all you need.
So despite the fact that I was working on very important town business today, of which you are a resident, you wanted me to say, "Oh, time out."
No, I
Well-
just want you to check your news feed, your Twitter, and see what's going on in the world. That's what Twitter's there for. It's so that you can just quickly glance and get all your headlines that you need to know from across the state,
Oh.
the country, whatever.
Okay, but here is my question: the cake costs how much if you bought it at Kroger?
I don't know. It probably would be close to $20.
Okay, so let's just aim high and say it is $20.
Okay.
You'd rather spend several hours, drive all the way downtown, seemingly will have to pay some amount of money to park.
The lines were going for 20 minutes, and you get to meet Buddy.
And that's like a big deal to you, meeting Buddy.
Really? You have a biscuit with legs on your wall.
Whoa.
Really?
You just got...
You're talking to me about a guy that makes cakes when you have a biscuit on your wall?
But I've never said I would drive to downtown Indianapolis to meet the imaginary King Biscuit of the King Biscuit Flour Hour.
So I drive 30 minutes downtown, wait 20 minutes for a cake, meet the star of this TV show that I like.
Well, that's okay. It just seems like a lot of work for a cake. when we could just go to
a big old cake. It's a good cake. It's not like the cheap Kroger crap they make. It's not like a Pillsbury cake you make at home.
But see, this is what confuses me. How does this fit in with your CrossFit, Advocare? How does a whole cake? Because you will not share that cake. You know that will be
moderation. I haven't eaten any other whole cakes this week.
Well, so you'll be heading down there after we get done?
No, because they're gone now. The cakes are all out.
They're all out of cake?
Yeah.
That seems a little low
They gave
budget.
away 10,000 cakes
That's
already.
A lot of cakes.
That's a lot of cakes, yeah.
That is a lot of
People
cakes.
started waiting in line at like 3 a.m.
I got to admit, I mean, I'm all for whatever you're for. That you're into the Duck Dynasty show or, whatever.
Mhm.
That just seems a little excessive to me that people would wait in line for 4 or 5 hours for a $20 cake.
It's not just the cake. You get to meet Buddy, the star of the show that you watch every week on television, who makes the cakes. Like,
right, but that's what I'm saying is I don't think there's about 3 people in the world I would cross the street to talk to, much less wait in line for
this
3 hours.
Biscuit is one of them.
No, I would.
Hulk Hogan, like
Okay,
Larry
no.
Moe and Curly, all Bruce Springsteen.
Okay, 1, the Biscuit is imaginary character, so I couldn't meet the King Biscuit. He's a mascot. 2, Larry Moe and Curly are dead and have been dead for years.
All I'm saying is, you like wrestling or whatever.
I do, and I have no problem that you like the Cake Boss.
Some
show.
people
It just seems like a lot
like
of,
cake
I get
and the
it.
Cake Boss.
I don't have any issue with that. What I'm just saying is, that seems like an awful lot of work for some guy that's
really your problem is
a B TV star.
it's just going downtown. That's not a lot of work. You just get in the car and drive for 20 minutes. Like, whoa. Sometimes it takes me longer to get from one side of Brownsburg to the other.
We're working on that.
Are you?
I'm working on that.
Okay.
Was he taking photos? Could we have got a photo with Buddy?
Yeah, he was taking pictures.
Well, I'm sorry. Next time, you need to alert me to these things.
Well, I just kind of decided last minute. Well, I was trying to debate all morning if I wanted to go, and then I was like, no, I can just go to the store and buy this cake. But then I was
you were
like,
thinking along the lines that I would.
yeah, but then it's like, this is free. It's really good. I'm not going to go to the store and buy this cake. And I could maybe see Buddy. That would be cool.
Right. Well, sorry. We'll get it next time. Well, we've spent 7 minutes and 50 seconds on this topic, and that was 7 minutes and 50 seconds more than I
If you wouldn't argue with me, it would be a lot quicker.
You just agreed with me and said everything I said was correct. Anyway, this is the Rob Kendall Show. It's my name, joined as always by the lovely April D. Gregory. If you are so inclined, you can follow me on Twitter at Rob M. Kendall, April at April D. Gregory. By the way, we should let everyone know the topic we have been talking about for the past few weeks, the Best of Hendricks County survey, for which I am nominated as Best Politician, is still available through August the 2nd. So I believe that's the end of the week. Log on to flyergroup.com and vote for me in the Best of Hendricks County competition. If we win,
Pizza party.
Pizza party if we're winning. If we win, everyone's invited. Should you want to come?
Has Dwayne offered something up to his voters?
What?
If he wins, if he's offering ice cream, I'm voting for
No,
Dwayne.
have I told you this story? We got into it. Dwayne and I got into it on Facebook over this the other day.
Really?
Sawyer's a follower on the incentives. He's not a leader. So you can't trust Dwayne because here's what he said. I offered the pizza party first, and then Sawyer comes in and goes, ooh, maybe we could have a competition where whoever wins buys the other person pizza.
That's a good idea.
I feel like that was Dwayne going, Rob beat me to the punch, so I'm just going to offer this as a way to not admit that I got beat to the punch. Because I'm a marketing guy.
Are you really?
I'm a promoter. I am a showman.
We can debate that another time. Well, but that wasn't really a good incentive for his fans. Like he needs to offer something for his fans. That was just that wasn't good on his part.
He's leading from behind.
He's not leading at all. He's not even trying to lead. He's just making a bet with you not his people.
You hear that, Sawyer? You're not leading at all.
Dwayne, if you offer ice cream to your voters for this contest,
I feel like they'd rather have pizza than ice cream.
I would rather have pizza 9 days a week.
Right.
I mean, ice cream. Ice cream. I'd rather have ice cream.
That's not a meal.
Yes, it can be.
I really think nutritionists would disagree with you that ice cream is a meal.
I eat what I want.
You know, if Dwayne were smart, what he'd do is he'd go to our man Lucas Holt, whose parents own the Orange Leaf in Brownsburg, and get up some sort of deal for Froyo.
Oh, those are Lucas's parents?
Yeah, the Holts.
No
I assume
kidding.
that's their last name, Mr. and Mrs. Holt.
I did not know that.
Yeah, they own the orange leaf. So anytime you add an extra topping to your ice cream, you're contributing to Lucas's inheritance.
I'm contributing to his college fund, I feel like.
Well, he's in his last year of college, so
Well.
you're on to the next thing.
Okay.
So anyway, still a chance to vote. I really would be honored to win this award. And I think you get a certificate of some sort plus your photo in the paper. So I really feel like that'd be good for me to get a certificate. And then I could hang it on the wall next to Fathead.
Yeah.
Would you approve of me putting that on the wall?
As long as it's not the living room.
Okay. So I could put it next to Fathead right there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, excellent. So again, flyergroup.com, your chance to help out a worthy cause, the worthy cause being me, and vote for me in the best politician category in Hendricks County. Here's the thing. Sawyer and I were the only two non-state legislators.
Yeah, we
or
talked
state
about that.
elected officials nominated. It's
Right.
Connie Lawson, Secretary of State,
Mm-hmm. We already talked about this, Rob.
Thompson, and
Why
Sturwell.
don't you ever close your Sharpie caps all the way? These are going to dry out.
You know what you are? You're a meddler. You are a meddler. You're in here, you open my curtains, you open my blinds.
We need fresh light.
Fresh light. Sounds like a term Sheldon Cooper would use on Big Bang Theory. I'm gonna have to look up if there even is
compliment.
such as fresh light. By the way, speaking of Sheldon Cooper, I started watching that show, Big Bang Theory. That's an excellent show.
Oh, it's an awesome show.
I don't know where I've been, but I've been watching them on demand, and
Yeah,
I really enjoy the show. I love the fact that David from Roseanne
Mm-hmm.
is one of the main characters.
Yeah.
I like that. He was a good character on that show. But I've really discovered the Big Bang Theory. So I may just go
good
rent
show.
them all. Yeah, it's great. Moving on as we continue to roll through our program.
If you talk
today.
to Josh nicely, he has seasons like 1 through 4 on DVD you could probably borrow.
Oh, I love talking to Josh. That's my favorite.
Have him bring him to McDonald's next time he goes. I'm sure he'll be there.
Yeah, April's wonderful brother Josh and I rendezvous accidentally at McDonald's usually once a week. He goes there like every day.
Not every day.
Pretty sure.
Pretty close,
yeah.
probably. You're probably right.
I'm pretty sure anytime he has the kid, he ends up at a McDonald's for something
Yeah.
in between breakfast
That
and
kid
lunch.
goes to McDonald's a lot. Grandma takes him all the time.
With her American Idol CDs.
Yeah.
Could need to thank a couple of people because that's how you do it in the radio industry. If someone helps you out, you help them out. Want to thank our good friend, or you give them a compliment. You give them a shout
Props.
out. Yeah, props. I want to thank our friend John Easter, host of the Johnny Stir Show, Monday nights, 9
I
o'clock.
like how you loosely say our friend.
Okay, my friend,
Okay.
Because you are very picky.
about what Democrats you associate with.
I have a lot of friends that are Democrats. I just don't know Johnny, so I'm not going to say he's my friend.
Well, then let's all hang out together so we can, next time I say that, say,
Does he live here in town?
no.
Oh.
He's a Decatur Township guy.
Oh. So you travel that far to hang out with him?
No, I have, John and I are virtual friends.
Oh.
John is the, in charge of the radio station at WBDG,
Mm-hmm.
the Ben Davis student station. And John is a, what I like to call a fairly reasonable Democrat. He is a little outside of me on the social issues, but fairly reasonable on a lot of the kitchen table sort of issues, economy, things like that. He was
Okay.
very much in favor of the homestead tax credit that the Indianapolis City Council is considering revoking. So, Anyway, John was kind enough to have me on his show on Monday night, that is podcast on the Indiana Talks Network, to promote the book. So thanks to John.
Sales still going well in the
It's
book?
going great. People are very supportive of what I do.
Good.
It's an honor.
I need wings, people. Buy his book.
Yes. April's very excited that I have pledged to use a portion of my proceeds to buy her dinner at some point, some sort. So, decide what you want.
I think we decided on wings, right?
Did we? Well, you're in charge.
We normally always just go to Buffalo Wild
I
Wings.
just go where I'm told. That's all I do. So anyway, I want to say thank you to John for giving me that opportunity. We had a very spirited debate, which we usually do, about some various issues. My goal is to say the name Governor Pence as many times as possible to see if John would spontaneously combust.
That's awesome. Did it work?
It didn't happen. But anyway, so thanks to John. Thanks to all of our friends at the Indiana Talks family. Also, need to say thank you to my friend Joel Roberts. from WKLU Radio here in Indianapolis.
Uh-huh.
Joel is the community affairs director over there. They're a K-Love affiliate.
Right.
So they take care of stations all over the country, even though they're based out of Indianapolis. K-Love, the fine Christian program station.
That's what I listen to mostly.
And Joel had me up there yesterday. Their studios are in Castleton, but their city of license is still Brownsburg. That station was in Brownsburg for a long time, and they still serve the city of license by doing some community programming. And Joel was kind enough to have me up there to record a segment that'll be coming up. We'll tell you more about it as when it's going to air. It'll be in the next couple weeks.
It's pretty crazy to think K-Love started in Brownsburg.
It did. And of course, I was the sports director there. 19 years old.
Because they're a pretty big station now.
That was my first. That was my first really big job in radio. Sports director, WKLU, and it was a local station. Then was the overnight guy when we moved up to Castleton when it was purchased. And 7 years ago, I was told my services were no longer needed at KLU.
That's how this business goes.
It goes. So I had not been back in 7 years. K-Love then purchased the station from the guy that told me my services were no longer needed about 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And Joel called and said, we'd like to do this interview with you to promote some of the stuff you have going on in Brownsburg government, the community affairs, programming, whatever. And so I said, great. I said, I'd come up there and see the old station. We said, sure. Joel gave me a great tour of the station. Nice to relive some memories. Actually did a little pick. You'll be proud of me. I did a pick stitch. Have you seen this photo?
No.
You need to see this photo. You'll love it. I got it up.
Just because you pick stitched?
No, but you'll love it because it's a photo of me yesterday in the studio and then a photo of me 7 years ago.
Oh, I saw that picture.
In the same studio.
Yeah.
And it's like past meets present.
Right.
I think I'm much better looking now than I was back then.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Everybody says that. I'm aging gracefully. My youthful beauty is maintained intact. I have a little bit less hair, but other than that.
Right.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks to Joel for allowing us to do that. That was a stroll down memory lane. And it was so funny. We got in there and he doesn't spend a lot of time in the on-air studio, so we went in the on-air studio. The lights were off, and I said, hey, can we take because I planned to do this pick stitch thing. And I said, hey, can we take a picture next to the microphone? And he said, yeah, sure, that's fine. So he goes, I'm having trouble turning the lights on in here. He goes, I don't spend a lot of time in here. And I said, oh, you just got to turn that knob to the right. Boom, there were the lights. So old habits die hard.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, this is the Rob Kendall Show. That's my name, joined as always by the lovely April D. Gregory. You are very busy.
Am I?
Yeah, like you do all sorts of fun stuff.
Well, yeah, we know this.
You went night golfing the other day.
Yeah.
How does that work?
Well, when you're friends with the owner of the golf course and it's like, hey, let's go golfing, you just go golfing.
Right, but it's dark. Now, he had some sort of glow-in-the-dark golf balls. Did everybody have a glow-in-the-dark golf ball?
No. And then we just ended up like doing a scramble type. So we got to use the glow-in-the-dark golf ball mostly.
Okay. Because I feel like that would be very hard to find the ball at night.
It is difficult.
Right.
There were flashlights involved.
Yes, there were. Flashlights, golf carts, and
beer.
And booze. Yes. And I got to see April's club, which was great. Very excited. I finally got to see your golf club.
Yeah.
Though I still have not figured out why you bought an offset driver.
I don't know the difference.
Well, you should, because it's going to affect your ability to hit the ball.
I hit it pretty well.
Did you vine it?
No.
No.
It was dark. You wouldn't be able to see anything.
That's true. That's a good point. I did take a picture for those of you who would like to see April night golfing in the night. It's not a very good picture. It's kind of dark. But I did take a picture of April night golfing. So, Rob M. Kendall, that's my Twitter handle. You can see April with the golf club in hand, looking very, very intense as she's about to set out on the night golf course. Looks like it was a lot of fun.
It was fun. It was cold. It was really cold.
It was very cold.
It's been cold lately.
It has. We've gone through a cold snap here in central Indiana, which is nice. I really enjoy it.
It's nice, yeah.
During the day.
I mean, 70 is fine with me, but if this means it's going to be 40 in September, I don't want it.
Right. Now, I got to say this. You are an events person. So, I was watching the Brickyard 400
right
on Sunday, and I've taken a pressing interest in anything racetrack now that I'm a racetrack owner. Didn't seem like there were a lot of people. You totally just bent the cap on my pin.
Quit it. At least the cap is on there now because I put it on there.
It's bent.
So what? At least your marker's not drying out.
April just bent the cap on my Sharpie. Now how am I supposed to fix that?
Rob, stop it. It doesn't matter.
Just come in here, steal my ice cream, open my blinds, break my pins. Anyway, I'm a little concerned that nobody was at the race.
Well, that'll change. That's why they needed to make you an owner.
Right.
So we could put some more money into the track, get some lights, get some more people back out to the track. So you could be getting your money back. So the state could be getting their money back.
Right. But you're in tune to the events. Are people not going because... I mean, I feel like this was the perfect day to go to a race. If you were a Hoosier and you said, what should we do on this Sunday? 79 degrees and...
Right. I feel
74
like...
degrees and sunshiny skies.
I mean, in general, attendance is down around the NASCAR circuit. But I feel like the Brickyard was just... Well, they didn't have a major sponsor like, before. But I feel like just marketing was down overall, and it just wasn't hyped up and made to...
Because I got to admit, I was surprised to see that no one was there. And when I say no one, I'm sure there were probably...
I mean, there's like 70,000, but that's...
Right, there were a lot of
just
empty
a
seats.
fraction of what the Speedway holds.
Because it holds probably 300 and...
Yeah, 3-something or
300
4.
plus
Yeah.
thousand people. I'm sure someone that is a track expert is actively screaming at their computer how many seats down to the
Probably
person.
Spangle.
Yes. Is Spangle
He's a fan. He's a big race fan.
Yeah.
IndyCar.
By the way, Spangle and we've been having some great email chitter-chatter back and forth.
Have you?
He's quite the
Good.
comedian.
He's funny.
We're referring to Chris Spangle, the host of the We Are Libertarians, or I guess you call him the CEO of the We Are Libertarians radio network, which you can hear the podcast of this program on. And we thank Spangle for that. We had some great Jody Sweeten chat back and forth
Oh, yeah?
the other day.
Did he find her equally as hot?
I think Spangle's a fan.
Okay.
I don't want to put words in his mouth, but yeah, I think Spangle is a fan. He was sending me some artwork.
Oh.
Back and forth.
Interesting.
I think he got creative with Photoshop or one of those something or other. So I love Spangle. It's amazing how many friends we've made since we've started the Rob Kendall Show. People that I never knew. And by the way, my new favorite thing is to favorite it's David. That's his name, right? The guy that the runner.
Yeah.
Yeah. The his I crushed a run. That's my new favorite thing. I just favorite it all the time now. It's classic. And I love how he has lots of photos of wine on his Twitter feed.
Yeah, he's
He is
definitely into wine.
You wouldn't think a runner would be an excessive wine drinker.
Well, but we talked about this before. If you're gonna consume alcohol as an athlete or whatever, wine is a good one to choose. Remember we talked about this before when we were doing the Advocare thing?
Oh, right. Yeah.
And
beer is bad.
Beer's heavier, more carbs, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
Wine has some health benefits per se.
Right. Red wine and white wine.
Red, mostly.
Right. But white wine is the more often consumed wine, as I understand it.
I don't know about that.
Really?
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you said white wine was better.
No.
No, red wine is better.
Red is definitely better.
Sorry. Behind the eight ball today.
Some people like a little bit lighter wine and they go with white.
Right.
But
I just feel like tequila is the best choice.
will you go ahead and start taking pictures of all your tequila?
I can. You want to go in there and snap a few shots?
No, I'm just saying for your Twitter.
So I could be like David?
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Maybe David and I could have competition. How about it, David?
I feel like you probably shouldn't be posting several photos of tequila. This is what you drive me to do, constituents.
We've got about 5 minutes left to go in the Rob Kendall Show today. Have you followed this Tony Bennett stuff?
Yeah, a little bit.
Here is my... And maybe it's because I've become skeptical about everything just because of the things I've gone through with my own government interactions. Like, I feel like people see one report now and they immediately just pop out and go, oh, that's the truth. It happened.
Right. They don't get the entire background. And I'm not saying what he did or wasn't wrong, but there was actually a good article in the Star today. Scott Elliott, the Star's education reporter, he did a full. So the AP article came out this morning, blasting Bennett. But the Star reporter today did a thorough. Here's the context. Here is everything that was going on. Here is maybe why he did this, and explained the whole entire process leading up to this grade change or whatever happened. So it gave you, not justifying his actions one way or the other, gave you the entire context. And I was reading it thinking, okay, now if everybody would just that's the problem. Like you're saying, that's the problem. People just jumped right to the conclusions and give the guilty verdict.
Right. Because, and like I said, I used to be fairly guilty of doing that as well. And maybe it's just a natural instinct to believe what you want to believe. And if you hear something that supports some mechanism of what you want to believe, you go, okay, well, that must be the way, that it was.
Yeah.
But I just, going through what I've gone through now, I always try to say, okay, there are two sides for most stories. There are two sides. And then the truth usually lies somewhere in the middle. It doesn't mean the truth is okay. It just means let's figure out what the truth is before we run with pitchforks and lanterns to some sort of conclusion.
Right.
Because you want to think, and I could be wrong, because I've met Tony Bennett, seemed like a nice enough guy. You want to think that the superintendent of public instruction would not be out there fudging numbers that could harm the education of children.
Right.
And I would say that not because he's a Republican, but because he is in that position. And
right.
Whether it was Glenda Ritz or Tony Bennett or Sue Ellen Reed or whomever,
right,
you would hope that regardless of political affiliation, they would not be making these sort of changes that would affect the education of children. And I told John this the other night on the show. I said, the biggest issue is we've got to focus on how we better educate kids in the public school system. We get so focused in on these little stories, not that this could be a big story, but these individual things versus the systemic issues that face us as, in this case, a state. And we want to focus on this one action versus how as a whole do we ensure that the public education system is better so that we need fewer charter schools.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Final topic. Wiener.
Uh-huh.
Have you been following the Wiener stuff?
Yeah, pretty much. I just can't escape it on Twitter.
Here's my theory. If the guy's name weren't Wiener, this wouldn't be nearly as big a story.
I think you're right.
Like I feel like if the guy's name were Smith.
Clinton.
Yeah. He's got 16% in the latest poll. Now, he's way down. But who's voting for this guy?
The same people that voted for Bloomberg. I mean, this is New York we're talking about.
Yeah,
here.
but you've got several liberal options. I'm sure the other 3 Democrats in the race are not exactly...
Well, I did see... I forget which celebrity it was, but he publicly tweeted to Wiener and said, "Congrats, you've lost this New York liberal." So he is losing liberal support for sure. They are definitely looking for the alternatives.
Well, and Spitzer apparently was on Matthews yesterday. And by the way, I love watching liberal television shows when there's a liberal scandal. I can't watch those guys any other time. But as soon as there's a liberal scandal, bam, I'm on it. Here we go. And Spitzer, said, he essentially paraphrasing, he's not voting for Wiener either. But part of me thought, only one of those two guys actually committed a crime. That's Elliot Spitzer.
Uh-huh.
Anthony Weiner's a dirtball, but
right.
he didn't commit a crime. I mean, how you could vote for Spitzer, but not Wiener?
True.
Part of me just says, what has happened to our country? Not that you have to be a choir boy by any stretch of the imagination. And I've always said I'm willing to forgive an act of indiscretion by a politician, depending on what it is. But if I genuinely believe they're sorry, they believe they made a mistake, everyone makes mistakes, and if you've learned from it. So I think there are a lot of people who were willing to support Wiener again.
Right.
But when you find out the guy was still doing it after he got caught, and the last name of the woman was Leathers.
It's too funny.
Which just seems...
And she's from Indiana.
Is she from Indiana?
Yeah. How do you not know this?
I've got a lot
Rob,
going on.
stay. Oh.
She's from like around here, Indiana.
I don't know where at from Indiana. She's from Indiana. She was an OFA. She worked for Obama campaign in 08 in Indiana.
So she could be living in Brownsburg.
I don't think that. I think I would know that if she were living.
We
in
now have to
Brownsburg.
find out where. I think it's Jennifer Leathers.
Sydney Leathers.
Sydney.
Jeez.
It was Jennifer
you're
Flowers.
awful.
That was the Clinton woman. Yeah. So that should be our goal for next week is to find out where Cindy Leathers lives. I think that's her real name. That's a stage name.
I know, right? That's just an awful name if that's really her name.
That sounds like a stage name.
Princeton, Indiana is where she's from.
Oh, okay. Very cool. I wonder if she still lives there.
I don't know.
Did you find her on like Wikipedia or something? How are you finding that?
There's this thing called Google, and
Well-
you just type in SYD, and all of a sudden Sydney Leathers pops up.
Yeah, I'm just surprised they would immediately have where she lives that fast. I mean, it just seems like you found that pretty instantly.
Well, it popped up all the articles. I scrolled down a few, and
Isn't that sad that you type in SYD and she is the number
Yeah.
one thing that pops up?
exactly.
So.
Anyway,
All right. Well, we are out of time, and that is going to do it for this week's edition of the Rob Kendall Show. April, a pleasure as always.
thanks, Rob.
So, for the lovely April D. Gregory, special thanks to Shane Ray for stopping by as well. I'm Rob Kendall, saying you've been listening to The Rob Kendall Show.